this is meteorologist Amy Metz with a different forecast today. There is some solar activity going on right now, so I wanted to show this first. You'll see that there's none in those green boxes, but right below the solar wind speed is 555 kilometers per second, which is quite a bit higher than what we see on a regular basis. So actually looking at the sun, checking out what that means, there's a couple of different visuals here. Now the bottom is what's called a coronagraph. So we're looking at, if you look on the left side of that blue screen blast off, there is some action leaving the sun. Now that is not something that was a huge solar storm, but it was big enough to bring us extra lightning, and I'll show you some more of that in a minute. Up above, you'll notice that there's a bright region on the sun. Now that is going to be rotating in toward where we could have another bit of action, plus the black dark holes there, coronal holes. Those are also what's responsible for some of that fast moving solar wind, and that means that aurora can come. So at the end of this video, I'll show you some of the aurora that's going on right now. And just in the meantime, while this loads, I'll let you know down below here, there's a chart. And so this gives us about 60 to 75% chance for aurora in some of these zones, which did get some, you'll see as it turns yellow. That's about 60-75%. Green is 50% or lower. So really what we're looking at is that yellow band for bits of aurora, which did appear. And so a little bit lower here on what's offered at Space Weather Prediction Center, you'll notice the very last chart here is the K index, and this is something I've been watching for a lot of different reasons, one of which is that it can cause geomagnetic storms on Earth and also increase lightning. Now that also has a factor with storms, so this was not a huge event, but it's big enough to increase storm activity a bit. And in the Philippines, we are seeing a landfall coming, either let's say in the next tonight and tomorrow. The next 24 hours are going to be quite bad there. Luckily the wind speeds are not very strong, but the big threat will be that there are floods going on. So here we have the governor letting everybody know that there's massive floods coming. There were emergency evacuations. About 50,000 people moved to somewhere different, because you'll notice here there's quite a bit of people living right on the low-lying areas. It's pretty flat there, and you don't want to get stuck on either side of these bridges or driveways when this is going on. So I'm hoping that everybody can make it out of there safely with this storm coming in. A look at the radar here, where it doesn't really show everything, but this will show little bursts of lightning in the mix, and I wanted to let you see, yes, there is increased lightning. There's quite a bit around this storm. And so backing up, we can take a look around the globe here. There's one more storm going on right now near South Africa that I've been forecasting for, and luckily this one here is moving away from land now. It's not loading, so I'll go straight to the winds. The story there is that there's not a lot of rainfall anymore. Madagascar and South Africa did get a lot of flooding rains. Landslides were not as bad of a problem there as they will be with the Philippines coming up here. So we'll notice that the red and torrential downpours, they're not quite over land now, but the north end of Madagascar is getting hit again on saturated grounds. And here on this view with the satellite, a lot more rain. So this all is moving westward and will cross over all of the Philippines that we're seeing here. And that is the big major threat right now. The United States had plenty of problems this last week with people freezing to death in their homes in Texas, and luckily that is finally leaving the story. So it's warmer there now, above freezing. The snowfall that's going on now and that will go on later in the week is not going to be over Texas anymore. So that is good news for that region. And now for the aurora that I promised. This is an observatory that is showing live stream. The observatory is in Finland, and it's just gorgeous. So let's see if it finished loading. So all these high energized particles, they can reach into the magnetosphere over Earth, interact with particles and do particle precipitation and turn into colorful light shows for us. It's really beautiful. I'll speed up a little and show you just how it changes. You can see in the thumbnail there, the colors just dance across the sky with the solar wind. So fast solar wind, solar flares, coronal mass ejections, solar storms, those can all help increase aurora. And it's just gorgeous. So it can be a downfall for some radio communications. And I'm learning more and more about that right now in my space weather classes. So enjoy the weather. This is meteorologist Amy Metz, hoping everybody gets to stay safe through the next big storm hitting the Philippines.